Good morning, and welcome to Unity of Vancouver. We're an inclusive spiritual community, and we warmly welcome all people, all faiths, and all lifestyles.
Good morning. It's good to see you. My name is Shirley, and I'll be your host this morning. And as always, we have a wonderful musician to lead us into the preludes this morning. Let's welcome the wonderful Tom Arntzen.
When I open my mind, when I open my mind, when I open my mind, I see more clearly. When I open my mind, when I open my mind, when I open my mind, I see more clearly. When I open my heart, when I open my heart, when I open my heart, I see things differently. When I open my heart, when I open my heart, when I open my heart, I see things differently. When I open my soul, when I open my soul, when I open my soul, I see love. When I open my soul, when I open my soul, when I open my soul, I see love. A prayer for peace. Wherever I go, peace goes with me. I feel peace inside, in every breath, peace abides. I know the joy of peace. I choose fear to release. Every moment, love wakes up, and peace is every step. I am prayer for peace. every breath, peace abides. I know the joy of peace. I choose fear to release. Every moment, love wakes up, and peace is every step. For peace, wherever I go, peace goes with me. I feel peace inside, in every breath, peace abides. I know the joy of peace. I choose fear to release. Every moment, love wakes up, and peace is every step. Peace is every step. Oh, I hope you're feeling good today, 'cause it's a wonderful way to say I love you. We're gonna sing something wonderful today. I hope you join along with me. Nobody ever gets hurt by singing along. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Ooh. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Something wonderful is going on right here. Something wonderful. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Yes, I can. Well, I can feel it in my body. I can feel it in my soul. I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go. Shout me now, come on. Something wonderful, I can hear you. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. You can sing along with me. Something wonderful, something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Well, I can feel it in my body. I can feel it in my soul. I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go. Well, something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. All this love inside, we can let it shine. Whoa, something wonderful, ooh, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful.
Thank you, Tom. That was beautiful. Good morning, everyone. Let's start with our invocation. We are now in the presence of pure being and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. We acknowledge your presence and your power, O Blessed Spirit. In your divine wisdom, now erase our mortal limitations and from your pure substance of love, bring into manifestation our world according to your perfect law. Amen. It's our pleasure to welcome you to Unity of Vancouver. We are an inclusive spiritual community dedicated to learning from all the world's wisdom traditions, and we warmly welcome all people, all faiths, and all lifestyles. But of course, we reserve the right to welcome everyone. And now let's begin with our one power affirmation. Together, there is only one power
presence
and there is only one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And now just a few quick reminders about some of the events coming up this week.
We've got a new class coming up this week, and it's entitled Becoming Supernatural. Becoming supernatural means waking up to the fact that we are eternal spiritual beings temporarily inhabiting a physical form. Many of us have come to believe that the physical form is all that we are, and that we are limited by the capabilities of our brains and bodies. This makes life unnecessarily difficult. In this class, we will awaken our dormant spiritual powers and discover what it is to live as supernatural beings. This class promises to be a fun and lively adventure, and if past classes are any indication, one in which classmates often become lasting friends. Becoming Supernatural begins this Wednesday, March the 3rd, from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. and will run 4 weeks on and 2 weeks off for a total of 12 classes. So buy the book, join us this Wednesday, and become supernatural. If you're joining us on YouTube this morning, welcome. To get the full Unity experience, join us on Zoom. Just click the Zoom link which we have placed in your YouTube chat window for easy login. Watching via Zoom enables you to ask questions about the talk, join small group breakout sessions, and even to request a prayer session with one of our chaplains in an online private room after the service. Either way, we're glad you're here. And if you enjoy Unity, be sure to click subscribe. You are invited to join us for Unity's annual general meeting, which is scheduled for Sunday, March 21st, and will take place via your regular Sunday Zoom connection. The meeting will begin at 12:15 p.m., immediately following the Sunday service, and will conclude at 1:45 p.m. We'll share the center's financials, elect 3 board directors, and open the floor to Q&A. Join us and find out about everything that's going on at Unity Center. Our Course in Miracle study groups are designed to lead us through a series of lessons, observations, and practices to change our thinking and view of who we are, from perceptions through the eye of the ego to deeper knowledge and understanding of ourselves as spiritual beings not separate from God or Source. These classes meet online on Tuesday afternoons from 1 to 3 p.m. and on Thursday evenings from 7 to 9 p.m. New members are always warmly welcomed. And just a reminder, all Unity of Vancouver events are online only at present. Links to join any of our events can be found in your weekly email newsletter or on our website at unityofvancouver.org.
And now let's take a couple of deep breaths and ground ourselves and be aligned with Spirit as we prepare to sing the New English translation of the Aramaic version of the Lord's Prayer.
Spirit, creator and life of all, create a space inside us and fill it with your presence. Let oneness now prevail. Your one desire flows through ours as energy fills all forms. Give us this day our physical and spiritual nourishment. Untangle the knots of error that bind us as we also release others. Don't let appearances make us forgetful of the source, but free us to act from our highest nature. From your presence comes the glorious harmony of life. May these words be fertile ground from which our future grows. Amen.
And now, to lead us in our meditation, the Reverend Bob Trask.
Good morning, my dear friends. Can we each just please put our feet flat on the floor and the bottoms of our spines up against the backs of our chairs? And let us just fall into a deep spiritual peace. We'll do that by breathing in through our nose, holding those breaths for 2 to 3, 4 seconds, and then releasing them through our mouths. And as we do, just let our bodies fall and relax. And with each breath, let us go deeper and deeper into a non-verbal, non-thinking peace of being. Allow the waters to become still and mirror-like. In through your nose, out through your mouth, falling deeper and deeper into peace. You are being surrounded and cradled by the warm presence of divine mind. You are being held in love. Once you were a pure and beautiful child. Then you became aware of the jungle of thoughts, of opinions and beliefs, of the franticness of life. That pure and divine child has not changed, is still you. Can you now, in this peace, allow that brilliant and happy mind to come back without thinking, just breathing and allowing? In a little bit, I'm going to welcome you back. When you do come back, please bring you the child, you the clear-minded, innocent, pure and joyful child back. You will know when to come back because 60 seconds from now, Tom Arnson will begin playing his beautiful music for us. When you hear it, please bring yourself and your child back.
find peace. In the darkness of night, I surrender my will to the power of light. Help me find strength to calm all my fears, and my gratitude grows. It brings me to tears. It's a thrill to release with each calming breath, enfolded in the sheltering arms of the one who is peace. With this infinite joy, the new day reminds me I am not alone in this world. My journey to freedom has begun. I am united with this world. That's the power of one. Help us find love. Our spirit awakes to serenity's jewel that the universe makes. Help us accept all life as divine, for as long as we love, that jewel, it will shine. It's a thrill to release with each calming breath, enfolded in the sheltering arms of the one who is peace. With this infinite joy, the new day reminds us we are not alone in this world. Our journey to freedom, it has begun. We are united with this world. That's the power of one. That's the power of one. That's the power of one. Oh, that's the power of one.
Oh my gosh. That's the genius of Tom Arnson.
Thanks,
I'm
Bob.
so moved. Thank you, Tom. And howdy, my dear friends. Today we're going to talk about building spiritual mind power. And I can tell you that spiritual mind power is not a force. It's not like muscle power or the power of a big truck. Spiritual mind power is actually a very gentle, sweet flowing power, but it's more powerful because it's based in love than any other power in the universe. In fact, the force that keeps planets rotating around each other, the force that caused what they call the Big Bang, the energy that keeps your heart beating 20,000 gallons of blood a day, that power is the power of your spirit, of my spirit, of the spirit of the universe. It's often called love. For 45 years after his enlightenment, the Buddha wandered around northern India, and he gave 10,000 or more talks to the public. And all he was talking about is ending suffering. He was looking around himself and seeing suffering, and all he was talking about is ending suffering. A man named Jesus of Nazareth spent 3 years talking to thousands of people, set forward a spiritual movement that has encompassed the world for 2,000 years. And all he was talking about is ending suffering. That's all he was talking about. What the Buddha and the Christ both knew is that we did not come here to suffer. We did not. And if we're suffering, we're off base. We're off the baseline. We're driving our car down the highway at 70 miles an hour, and we're off the highway going through the brush and the trees. We did not come here to suffer. In our message today, in line with the Buddha and the Christ and all of the other great spiritual teachers, is not only are we not here to suffer, we're here to experience mind power, spiritual mind power, the ability to create our own realities. But many people think that what they believe and what they know are the same things. And they're not. They're not the same things. What you believe is just an accumulation of your experiences. But what did you know before you believed? What did you know when you were a child before you believed? You knew certain basic fundamental things, and you still know those. Many people don't know that beliefs and ideas and opinions are concepts of the intellectual mind. But the spiritual mind knows. And throughout your life, I'll bet you've had some spiritual awakenings. I'll bet you've had some powerful awakenings of intuition, of insights, of mystical experiences, of divine communications, other spontaneous events. And I'll also bet that because they were very brief and because you couldn't understand them, you discounted them. Well, you remembered them because they were pretty profound. But did you anchor them? Did you feel like, gosh, that's a real message? Man, that must be who I really am. That must have been truth speaking to me. Or did you say, because I can't comprehend it, figure it out, explain it in my logical mind, then it must have been a fantasy or some sort of just a happenstance. But spiritual events and spiritual occurrences like that, those awakenings that come to you, they often come in short bursts, brief flashes of the true reality. And usually they defy ordinary understanding. And though spiritual awareness has an inexplicable certainty of truth, because it's not explainable in a reasonable way, and incidentally, reasonable means that we can find reasons for it. Doesn't mean it's true or false, it just means we can find reasons for it. So if it isn't reasonable, then we discount it. We must, because we're intellectual beings, right? We're spiritual beings with intellects. We're not intellectual beings with spirits. So to build spiritual mind power, we have to begin letting go of that which is not spiritual mind power, and begin to recognize that when we have a spiritual experience or a spiritual insight or that sense of intuition that turns out to be right, or when you say, gosh, I wonder what Frank's doing, and you pick up the phone to call him and he's already on the phone. That's not an accident. That's not happenstance. That's your communication with the great spirit of life that moves in all things. That's your oneness with being. You know, in quantum reality, we have found that subatomic particles like photons or electrons can be in two different places at the same time. Two different places at the same time. There was an experiment done recently, and we're studying about this in one of the classes I'm teaching. And there was a piece of tissue taken from inside of a student's mouth, just a tiny piece, so he or she wouldn't notice it. And the DNA in that responded to people's emotions. So the DNA in your body responds to emotions. And it not only responds incidentally to your emotions, it responds to emotions around you. So you're actually changing your body structure. Your DNA is either winding or unwinding. These things are happening due to your emotions and to the emotions of people around you. It's been proven that a person sitting in this chair and other people way far away in other chairs that hooked up to electronic instruments, that their DNA responds to emotions in this person. So here's what was done in this test. They took that little bit of tissue, and it had the living DNA in it, and they had this person experience different kinds of emotions by watching different things on the screen. And the DNA in them and the DNA in the person responded exactly the same. Then they moved it hundreds of feet away. They did the same test, the person watching things, and they testing that DNA and testing the body's DNA, and they reacted simultaneously, exactly the same way. Then they put that little piece of DNA on an airplane and flew it 350 miles away and did the same experience. And again, both the DNA in the subject's body and the DNA in that piece of tissue, 350 miles away, responded exactly at the same time. And I say exactly at the same time because I don't want us to think that emotional message traveled 350 miles. It didn't travel at all. They reacted exactly at the same time, simultaneous. What that means is that there's no such thing as distance. There's no such thing as time and distance. They are one and the same thing. And when you are using your spiritual mind power, you are one with all things, in all places, in all dimensions. Many of the experiences, even scientific experiences in events, seem to lack enough proof to be real. But science, let me talk just quickly about science, because I love science. Science was my favorite subject in school. I just love science. But scientists, by their nature, prove things. They have to prove things, and things have to be replicable. So if they have an experience and it shows them a certain theory, a theorem, then they have to do the experience again and again, maybe under different conditions. If it continues to come back the same way, then it becomes a law. Then it's a law of science. You can't do that with spirit. You can't do that. When you get into the quantum, into subatomic particles, into photons and electrons and atoms, they don't react in a way that's provable, that's replicable. They do whatever they're going to do. They do what you observe them to do. They're waves, and then you observe the wave and it becomes a particle. And then you split the particle and one of them goes to the Mars and the other one stays here, and they both exactly are still the same particle. Doesn't matter where they are. None of that makes any sense in this dimension. But we are not of this dimension. We are on the earth, and we are living on the earth, but we are not of the earth. We are eternal beings, living forever. And the imprint of spirituality, hear this if you will, the imprint of spirituality is the imprint of your soul. Like that thumbprint of yours, trillions of people will come and go off of this planet. No one will ever have that same thumbprint. Wait a minute. You got a few little scrolls in this tiny area. You're going to tell me that you can have trillions and trillions of people and you're not going to replicate that? Yeah, that's what I'm going to tell you. You're unique and you're individual. And as a spiritual being, you have two facets going on at the same time. You are unique and individual. No other spiritual being is like you. At the same time, you are one with all spirits. Well, wait a minute. How can that make sense? Again, let's not try to make things make sense. Because in the grander scheme of reality, things don't make sense by the thinking in this reality. You have to be able to expand your mind in order to build spiritual mind power. You have to be able to look beyond what may seem reasonable or logical. You have to be willing to be totally loose in that regard. And one of the greatest ways to do that is to have spiritual energy and let the spiritual energy lead you. The beautiful mind of Joseph Campbell said this one simple little phrase that has guided millions of people since then. Follow your bliss. Follow your bliss. In other words, choose joy. In other words, be love. There's nothing that I'm doing in my life, whether I'm in business, running a grocery store, being an attorney, being a judge, driving a truck, teaching school. There's nothing I'm doing that isn't enhanced and made easier and made spiritually powerful by my spiritual mind if I do it with love. And in doing it with love, love is my only goal. Love is my only means. If I do that, then my spiritual mind power grows. And I become more like the Christ, more like the Buddha, more like the me I'm supposed to be here. We have a moment, that we have this spiritual awakening moment. Something happens to us that seems uncanny. And I know you've had that moment. I know you've probably had several of them. A time when something very strange happened to you. You were overcome by this incredible feeling of joy that transcended your life, that you had, or maybe you had an insight to something that you had no idea how you could possibly know it, but you knew it. Maybe somebody came to you in trouble and you said something to them that changed their life. And you have no idea where that came from. That moment, that special moment, if you allowed it, it would transform your life forever, alter your relationships with everything that exists, be the awakening of internal and eternal intelligence that will nurture and change you into the deepest sanctum of your life. You are God. You are God. I'm not telling you that you're the only God. I'm saying that you are God. In a holographic sense, every particle is equal to the whole. Every particle of a thing contains the thing, the entire thing. You, as a particle, physically, contain within your body the entire physical universe. No, don't try to make that make sense. Just know that it's scientifically true that in a holographic sense, one grain of sand on the beach contains the entire universe. And to move that just a quick step forward, if you could take that grain of sand and make it non-existent, I don't mean burn it or smash it or change it into something else. I mean, make it non-existent, like it never was. The entire universe would blink off. Everything would be gone because everything is one. And you are one with all. And when you know that, then you stop scurrying around like a little bitty person in a great big universe trying to just get by. You bring in the power of the universe into you, the power of life. And this power comes from inside you, from an indescribable place that once discovered, nothing can stop it. Nothing can stop it. Your very vibrations expand. Your life expands. You know the deepest joy, and your goals happen quickly and easily. Your joy happens quickly and easily.
The wisdom of the true self is ours. Natural knowing is taking down the walls. Spiritual mind power, consciousness flowing, your best life calls to you. It calls to you. Release the mental mind and the ego too. Don't try to think, let the power see you through. Spiritual mind power, consciousness flowing, your best life calls to you. It calls to you. Let your higher mind run free. Create a brand new identity. Let it be in love. And all of us are promised this one gift. Let our mind's power make the shift. Our spirits lift in love, in love, in love, in love. spiritual mind and the ego too. Don't try to think, let the power see you through. Spiritual mind power, consciousness flowing, your best life calls to you. It calls to you. Let your higher mind run free. Create a brand new identity. Let it be in love. And all of us are promised this one gift. Let our mind's power make the shift. Our spirits lift in love, in love, in love, in love. Spiritual mind power, eternally in love. Spiritual mind power, eternally in love. Spiritual mind power, eternally in love.
Spiritual mind power, eternally in love. Incidentally, Tom wrote that song for you for this service. Spiritual mind power, eternally in love. Okay, so then we have mind power, spiritual mind power. Okay, so then how do we apply it? How do we make it work? So I have spiritual mind power, but if I want to know that I have spiritual mind power, I need to see some results, right? Okay, here's how we get the results. There's a thing called the law of attraction. And the law of attraction is spiritual mind power at work. The law of attraction was first taught by the Buddha, who wanted us to know that we become what we think. Wow, imagine. That was clear back at the time of Buddha. He was saying that we become what we think. And then in Proverbs, in the Bible, in Proverbs 23:7, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So as we think, we become. So you want to be, for example, you want to be healthier? Then think that you are healthier. Then think that you are healthier. You want to become wealthy? Think that you are wealthier. The universe is this vast, vast invisible space. I don't mean that it's empty. It's invisible, but it's not empty. It's filled with total probability and possibility. There's nothing that you can dream of that cannot be created out of that. It's like the candy store of ages. Every flavor that you could ever imagine is there. So if you want something, then be that which you want. Be that which you want, and it is attracted to you. You can't be other than that and attracted to you. You can't say, I can't pay the rent, I have no money, things are terrible, I don't know how I'm ever going to get any money, and attract that to you, which is what you want. You must be it. So as you think, you become. Great minds, great successes like those of Beethoven and Shakespeare and Blake and Emerson and Newton and current people like Steve Jobs and Oprah Winfrey, every single one of them got to where they were at the pinnacle of their success through the law of attraction. The most challenging part of the law of attraction is coming to realize, listen to this, coming to realize that every decision that I've ever made resulted in the situation I now find myself. Every decision has a consequence. Every thought has a consequence. And if I don't feel that my life is exactly what I want it to be, it's because I have thought it into this place. Every one of our results is due to our thinking. Every one of them. Using the law of attraction, you find yourself attracting those to you who also think like that. So the people who are struggling and who are stubborn and refuse to see that there's a reality around them, loving them, holding them, that's beyond their physical body and their rational mind, those people who refuse to do that, those are not the people that you need to have in your close life. The people you need to have in your close life are the people who think like you, who understand that there's a greater reality and that we're a part of it. And it's that part that we need to be immersed in, not the part of money and health and faster cars and slimmer bodies and all those things that seem to be more important. We will be here for a short period of time, and then we'll leave these bodies and this rationale, and we'll move back into the great sea of oneness with all, the oneness with spirit. So we're only here temporarily. We have forever, ever been in God as God. And we're going back. We're going to leave this temporary shell and go back to that again and again and again in multiple dimensions. How many dimensions? Unlimited dimensions, in unlimited forms, in unlimited ways, as we grow in wisdom and in joy. Which is why we came here, to grow in wisdom and joy. So the two keys to nurturing spiritual mind power. The first is to free yourself of blame and to free others of your blame. That means forgiveness. That means forgiveness. And forgiveness is not saying, all right, you hurt me and you betrayed me, and so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let it go this time. I'm going to just tolerate it and let it go. That's not forgiveness. Forgiveness is saying, if I could go back right now and change it, I would not. That's accepting it is the way it is. And it is the way. And that's the only thing that forgiveness is to accept it totally and fully and be one with it. That's forgiveness. And at that point, it stops being a nail in your heart, stops eating at you, and it frees you, and it frees your spiritual mind power. And the other one is gratitude. To see this incredible paradise in which we were planted, particularly those in the Pacific Northwest. Oh my gosh, the forests go right down to the sea. The sea is filled with life. There are shellfish and berries and gorgeous clouds and deep blue sky and clean, fresh air and abundance everywhere, shouting from the earth, singing from the skies. Do we notice that? Do we feel our incredible gratitude for that? So building mind power, building spiritual mind power, doesn't mean that daily I have to build something. It means daily I have to let go of something that is not me, a spirit, that is not my mind focused in spiritual life. I have to let go. I have to let go of my suffering. How do I let go of my suffering? You were not brought here to suffer. And pain and suffering are not the same things. You can have pain, and if you accept the pain and be one with the pain, it's not suffering. It's only suffering when I resist it. When I resist it, then it becomes suffering. So, my dear friend, I'm asking you to be in joy. I'm asking you to accept who you are, that beautiful, beautiful child, that spiritual angel that you are, to accept that and let all of the rest of the stuff just be itself and go. To come into oneness with the spiritual being of God in you, as you, and in the universe as the universe. In joy and in music, when we hear the music, to not just listen to it, but to hear it. Like right now, I love you.
I trust in the power unseen. Strength in my body, persistence in my mind. I endure all hurt, forgiveness is the key. I have wisdom from my spiritual knowing. Truth and judgment are always growing. 12 powers in every person, working in love, it's understood. 12 powers, let's celebrate them. Symbol tools for living for good, for good. A radiating center of love is shining with kindness, desire, and attraction. I create my world with my own power. I control my thoughts, it gives me satisfaction. I imagine my good, I see it clear now. I dream of something great, my future's here now. 12 powers in every person, working in love, it's understood. 12 powers, let's celebrate them. Simple tools for living for good, for good. Understanding is grounded in spiritual truth. I perceive what is my best way to live. Free will allows me to choose my own way, deciding to lead, determined to give. I strike the right balance in all I do. I am centered and ordered, my good shines through. 12 powers in every person, working in love, it's understood. 12 powers, let's celebrate them. Simple tools for living for good. Passion and zeal motivates me, transforming myself to something new. I let go of the past, I set myself free. I live in the now, I love the view. Life is sweet, I am free and alive now. I'm awake, alert, renewed, and revived now. Yeah, 12 powers in every person, working in love, it's understood. Yeah, 12 powers, let's celebrate them. Simple tools for living for good. Oh, for good. 12 powers for good.
So we have one question, Reverend Bob, from Sean. And his question is, How do we accept and move forward with awareness?
Boy, that's really a great question. I think that what happens is that we become numbed. That's numbed. Um, our senses of hearing, our senses of touch, our senses of taste, our senses of even sight become numbed after a while because there's so much going on outside of us. And the internal turmoil inside of us fights to come out as the cacophony of events on the outside meet with that. It's like a great battle on a huge battlefield, and we just become numbed to it. So we need to settle that down. And I really don't know of any other way than meditation. Meditation is the great gift that has been given us down through the ages, the great gift. Because when you go into meditation, you go into a vacancy, a place where the turmoil and the catastrophes of life and outside of you and inside of you just shut up. Just shut up. Just become silent. And all that's left is you. You, that delicious, delightful, pure and happy child. That's all that's left. And at that point, you become aware, not of the battlefield, but aware of truth, of the great joy of life. Now, a lot of people tell me, well, I've tried to meditate, but it's too hard and I don't have time, and on and on and on. But it's easy to meditate. Then online there are dozens of experiences that you can go on to. People that are teaching meditations of different kinds. There's so many different kinds of meditations that all, if they're good meditations, arrive at the same place, which is that of you sitting in absolute space, beholding nothing but the beautiful truth of what is, without all of the cacophony of stuff going on around you. And if you can do that, even for 15 minutes twice a day, even for that, 1/48 of your day, if you can do that, that itself will pull all of that other stuff into some form that becomes reasonable. And then as you look at a tree, don't just look at the tree, but see the tree. No, I'm not talking about the leaves or the branches or the needles or the flowers. I'm talking about even the bark of the tree, which is so incredibly beautiful and intricate. And when you look at that tree, you'll never see another tree like that. That's the only one. There's no other tree that has ever stood that is that one, that is like that one. When you're looking at the striations of the bark of that tree, in contrast with the deep forest behind it, catching the light with its browns and yellows and golds and blues even, when you see that, when you really look at that, something moves inside of you. When you taste something, instead of just letting it go down the gullet, but to taste it, to push it with your tongue up against the roof of your mouth and feel the sensation of that. And when you hear music, to bring it inside of you and become the music. That becomes much easier to do when you meditate at least a couple of times a day. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sean.
Well, Bob, Randy asked a question, but I think you might have just answered it, but I'll give it to you anyway and see if you want to add to it. It's, what is a practice we can do this week to develop our spiritual mind power?
It is a great question, Randy. Thank you. And certainly meditation is a really enormous part of that. Another part that I didn't mention in relation to Sean's question is this: look for proof of you exercising your mind power. Try it out like a new pair of roller skates and see if you can get balanced on it. when asks when you meet somebody new, or even the person that you live with, the person that you're constantly with, look into their eyes when you're talking to them. Look for something that you haven't seen before. Look for a presence. Look for a being inside of there that you've not seen before, because that person's new today. This is not the same person that she or he was yesterday. And ask questions that'll bring that child out. How are you feeling right now? If I could ask you, if right this instant, what you want, anything in the world, what do you want? What would that answer be? And then listen to the voice, listen to the soul answering that question. Think to yourself, what could I do today that would be of value to that person? What value can I give to that person today? And then give that value and watch what happens. So during this week, pay attention and watch what happens as a result of your being in spiritual mind power. Look for results, because that will edify and give confidence to that spiritual mind power. Thank you, Randy.
And we have a question from Lori. How do you know if you're in truth or in denial?
Oh, thank you, Lori. Oh boy, that's a great question. That is really a great question. When I'm in denial, to begin with, when I'm in denial, I'm covering up my pain. I'm covering up my pain. I'm pushing my pain back, my pain, emotional pain, physical pain, mental pain. I'm pushing that back out of the way. When I'm in truth, I'm accepting all things, allowing all things, embracing all things. Things that we call good, things that we call bad, things that we call pleasant, things that we call painful. I'm embracing all things. When I'm in denial, I'm hiding from all of those things that might bring me discomfort in one way or another. And when I'm in denial, I'm lost from truth. And most importantly, I'm lost from grace, the power of God. When I'm in acceptance and allowance and being one with all things, then the flow of God's grace is pouring through me, and I feel the power of that grace. Truth is when I'm in acceptance. Denial is when I'm in avoidance. Thank you.
And Uta's asking, she says, I have many ways to eliminate my own suffering, but would like to help others eliminate their suffering who are not so open to these ideas. Any suggestions?
Yeah, put them in silent unity, and in the beautiful and most spectacular prayer group that we have here at Unity. Put them in that prayer, in those two prayer groups, and let them be being healed from without. As I said about the tissues being 350 miles away, still responding to the emotions of that person. The people around us are responding. We can be healing powers for people that are a long ways away from us. So when you have those people who are suffering, let your heart, let your soul, let the spiritual mind power within you reach out to them and touch them, bless them. Don't ask God to heal them. You are the healer. Do it. Flood them with your love all day long. Constantly flood them with their love. Now, the other thing is to say to them, is owning it. You know, here's what I found about my suffering. When I was really suffering, if I accepted my suffering, if I said, I am one with my suffering, then it stopped being suffering. It just started being pain. But pain, when measured in hospitals by doctors, when you say on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your suffer? What is your pain? And they say, it's a 9. It's, oh my God, it's a 9. And if you can get those people to become one with their pain, if you accept your pain right now, if you just totally accept it, knowing you can't get rid of it, just accept it. Expand your mind and accept it. Okay, are you doing that? Okay, now what is the level? Now it's a 6. So accepting your pain, and it is no longer suffering. I'm going to say something that I'm going to get a lot of emails from, and I accept those emails, but a lot of people are going to disagree. But Jesus the Christ hanging on the cross did not suffer. Did not suffer. Because if he had suffered, then everything he taught for 3 years is a lie. He did not suffer. He went through unbelievable pain, incredible, excoriating pain. And his message to us from the cross is even this does not take me from the grace and the Spirit of God. Even this. Your pain is in a way, because it's there, because it's undeniable, it's there. Your pain is a step into spiritual oneness. If you can just accept it and be one with it, and let the grace of God flow into you with it. But when somebody else is suffering and you can't get them out of that suffering, then you can flood them with your love and make sure that they're in our prayer group and also in silent unity. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you for your love for others and your attempt to heal them. Thank you.
And one last question. Sharon asks, can I fully accept a death without liking that they're gone from this dimension?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because remember, Sharon, that this isn't the only dimension. There are unlimited dimensions. And that their presence is always there in all dimensions, whether they show up in a body or not, their presence is here. You cannot get rid of someone. Their presence is here. And I can tell you that when someone dies, when someone leaves this dimension, so often what we say is, well, I lost my mom last year and she's gone, and boy, I really miss her. She misses you too because you've abandoned her. Just because she doesn't have a body, you've said now she no longer exists. You've abandoned her. She's the one who's lonely. We need to move beyond that silliness of thinking that people have to have a body in order to be here. She's still with you. She's still flooding you with love. All people that go out of this dimension didn't go anywhere. All of them are still here. And they're still in all the other multiple dimensions as well. And they're also one with God as God. So yes, absolutely, Sharon. Yes, we can definitely get past the suffering, not past the pain, but past the suffering of having lost our loved ones. Thank you, Sharon. I love you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you very much for your wisdom. And now it's our time to recite our prayer for protection. So all together now, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.